Hey guys, how's it going? Hope you're having a wonderful week. Like always, I'm continuing with my Kate Bush discography journey, and we made it to her second studio album from 1978. Now, this album was released the exact same year that she put out her debut album, The Kick Inside, which was released 9 months prior to this album, her second studio album. I mean, Kate Bush putting out 2 albums in 1 year. Those were the days. Could you imagine if Kate Bush put out 2 albums next year in 2021? I am looking at the track list and none of these tracks look familiar, but like always, if I listen to a song and it sounds familiar, I'll let you guys know. The album is 37 minutes, so let's get into it with track number 1, Symphony in Blue. Alrighty, that was track number 1, Symphony in Blue, and she is singing about the color blue quite a bit. Spent a lot of my time looking at blue, the color of my room, and my mood. Blue on the walls, blue out of my mouth. So not only is she feeling blue, but she is looking at the color blue quite a bit. The sort of blue in those eyes you get hung up about when that feeling of meaninglessness sets in. And then she goes on to say, the meek he seeks, and he is capitalized, so I imagine she is talking about God. The meek he seeks, the beast he calms, the head of the good soul department. And she also says, my terrible fear of dying no longer plays with me. So she's no longer concerned about dying. For now, I know that I'm needed for the symphony. She does talk about the color blue, but now she is talking about the color red by saying, I associate love with red, the color of my heart when she's dead, red in my mind when the jealousy flies. I don't know. Red also signifies manipulation and danger as well. Sex and passion also, when she says, the more I think about sex, the better it gets. Here we have a purpose in life. Good for the blood circulation, good for releasing the tension. I love the contrast between the 2 colors that she sings about, the blue and the red. I don't really know what the song's about, but she is playing around with the idea of being lonely and feeling blue and how death doesn't concern her anymore. And she also plays around with the idea of love, the color red. Red also means jealousy when the jealousy flies, red in my mind. And when it comes to the song itself, I enjoy listening to it. It's a classic Kate Bush song. You really can't go wrong with it. So now let's move on to track number 2, In Search of Peter Pan. Alrighty, that was track number 2, In Search of Peter Pan. I really loved this song, not just because I'm a huge Disney buff and I absolutely love Disney, and Peter Pan is one of my favorite Disney movies of all time, but I really enjoyed the song. I think it's just simply beautiful, and I just love Kate Bush's lyrics, don't you? I also really enjoy her voice, but for me, the highlight of any Kate Bush album are the lyrics. That is always the number one thing I look forward to when I sit down and listen to a Kate Bush album. She says here that it's been such a long week, so much crying, I no longer see a future. I've been told when I get older, I'll understand it all, but I'm not sure if I want to. She also talks about school. Running into her arms at the school gates, she whispers that I'm a poor kid. And Granny takes me on her knee. She tells me I'm too sensitive. She makes me sad. She makes me feel like an old man. And then she says, when I am a man, I will be an astronaut and find Peter Pan. Second star on the right, straight on till morning. Now, obviously, Peter Pan signifies youth, the boy who won't grow up. He stays the same age forever, a young boy, forever and ever. He never has to become an adult. And she also brings up this Dennis character. Dennis loves to look in the mirror. He tells me that he is beautiful, so I look too. And what do I see? My eyes are full, but my face is empty. So it looks like she isn't feeling very good. Just like track number 1, she's feeling blue. She also doesn't seem to be satisfied with the way she looks. This Dennis character, whenever he looks into a mirror, he sees beauty. So he sees a beautiful face in front of him. That's what he sees. But when she looks in the mirror, she sees that her eyes are full, but her face is empty. So now she's on the search for Peter Pan. And when she's a man, one day she will be an astronaut and find Peter Pan. It's interesting she says, when I'm a man. Why does she have to be a man to become an astronaut to find Peter Pan? I mean, this was 1978, so maybe women couldn't be astronauts, or maybe it's just a metaphor. I don't know. I actually had to look it up because I'm genuinely curious as to who the first female astronaut was. And in 1983, Sally K. Ride became the first American woman in space. I feel like a lot of us go through these insecurities of feeling like you're not good enough, especially when you're younger. You ask yourself, why don't I look like that other girl? Or why don't I look like that other boy? Or why don't I have as much money as that other person I go to school with? Why don't I have the same clothes? And why don't I have this? And why don't I have that? And why are people making fun of me and telling me I'm too quiet or too loud or too sensitive? You know, it's very complicated for many different people. But one line I like in particular is the line, I've been told when I get older that I'll understand it all. And I remember being told that quite a few times when I was a kid. You'll understand it one day. When you're older, it'll make sense. I remember adults telling me that all the time. And I remember when I was a kid, people would make fun of me. Obviously, all kids are made fun of at one point. I remember being made fun of by my family members as well, by my cousins. I was called a tom girl, and they would make fun of me because I was a little feminine. I was feminine for a boy, and I didn't play sports. I wasn't into masculine things. That came later on. It wasn't until my later childhood did I get into Lego and cars and stuff. But initially, I was into Barbie dolls and Sailor Moon and the Spice Girls and more feminine things. And I mean, you can imagine I was made fun of. I remember having a Sailor Moon backpack in second grade and taking it to school. So I was always different my entire life. I did decide to look up the meaning of the song, and people are saying that the song is capturing childhood anxieties and disappointments, pressures and fears, and the transition from childhood to adulthood. I remember watching Peter Pan for the first time back when I was a kid, and I just loved the idea of never growing up, never having to become an adult, never having to worry about taxes and those boring adult things like getting a job and worried about money, just being a kid for the rest of your life. So, to summarize what I think of this song, I think it's great and I really enjoyed it. But I forgot to mention, what I also love about the song is the very end when she starts singing When You Wish Upon a Star from Pinocchio. When you wish upon a star, it makes no difference who you are. When you wish upon a star, your dreams come true. I also remember doing that as a kid, wishing upon a star, hoping that my dreams one day will come true. So now let's move on to track number 3, Wow. Alrighty, that was track number 3, Wow. This was another song that I really enjoyed. Emily, we're all alone on the stage tonight. We've been told we're not afraid of you. We know all our lines so well, ha ha. So she's singing about being on stage and having to recite lines and remember her lines, be an actor, actress. When the actor reaches his death, you know it's not for real. He just holds his breath, but he always dives too soon. And there's a part right here that I find quite interesting. She's singing about this actor, and she says he always dives too soon, too fast to save himself. He'll never make the screen. He'll never make the sweetie or be that movie queen. So he'll never be that movie star. He'll never be that successful actor because he dives too soon. Maybe he thinks that he's really good and he's just moving too fast, and she thinks because he's moving too fast, his ego might get the best of him and he'll never become that successful actor because maybe he's not as good as he thinks he is. And people are saying that the song's about the art industry, how fake everything is. And some people are saying that the song is specifically about gay artists in their profession. And then someone else says that the gentleman, the actor in the song, is a really good actor, but is being delayed the parts he wants to play because he's gay. So there are a few interpretations of the song. I really enjoyed it. Every one of the songs so far on this album, the first 3 tracks, are like movies, essentially, when I read the lyrics. And it's just really interesting. I said this already, but I just love reading Kate Bush's lyrics. You honestly never know what you're gonna get going into a Kate Bush song. It's not predictable, and it's always something new. So that's why I find her music so exciting. So now let's move on to track number 4, Don't Push Your Foot on the Heartbreak. Yeah! Alrighty, that was track number 4. Don't push your foot on the heartbreak. This was a lot of fun to listen to. I really enjoyed it. I'm loving this album so much. I'm also loving the use of the piano in these songs. I love the piano. It's one of my favorite musical instruments. I had a lot of fun listening to her vocals on this track. I always like listening to her singing, obviously, but this one in particular, this track in particular, I really enjoyed. And overall, I've just really enjoyed the production on this album. Emma's come down, she's stopped the light shining out of her eyes. Emma's been run out on, she's breaking down in so many places. Her heart is there, but they've greased the road. Her heart is out there, but she's no control. And then she goes on to say, come on, you've got to use your flow. You know what it's like, and you know you want to go. Don't drive too slowly. Don't put your blues where your shoes should be. So she's bringing up blues again, and this goes back to track number 1, Symphony in Blue. So what I'm thinking she's saying is, don't let the blues, don't let the fact that you're feeling down and upset get the best of you. Move on and don't worry about the heartache that you're feeling. Don't push your foot on the heartbreak. And she's saying that this Emma character is losing that inner flame. So that passion, that drive, that ambition, that love. She used to burn bright, but now the light is fading. So I really like the message behind the song. Don't let heartache or heartbreak get the best of you, especially if you have that inner flame and you're burning bright. Don't let people put you down. Don't let life put you down. You just kind of have to move forward and don't push your foot on the heartbreak. So now let's move on to track number 5, Oh England by Lionheart. Alrighty, and that was track number 5, Oh England by Lionheart. And this was another beautiful song from Kate Bush. Oh England, my Lionheart, I'm in your garden, fading fast in your arms. The soldiers soften, the war is over. My London Bridge, it rain again. Oh England, my Lionheart. And she brings up Peter Pan once again. Peter Pan steals the kids in Kensington Park. Dropped from my black Spitfire to my funeral barge. Give me one kiss in apple blossom. Give me one wish, and I'd be wassailing. And then she wraps up the song by saying, Oh England, my Lionheart, I don't want to go. So she doesn't want to leave England. I've actually never been to England before. That is one of the places I would love to visit one day. People are saying that the song is about an England that existed before the war. The song is a yearning for an England that no longer exists. I was curious about this line right here, dropped from my black Spitfire to my funeral barge, and I actually didn't know why Spitfire was capitalized, so I had to look it up, and the black spit or black Spitfire is a plane. And a barge is a flat bottom boat for carried freight. So he is dropped from his black Spitfire to his funeral barge. Some of you might be rolling your eyes at me discovering these words for the first time. I really don't care because I didn't know what these words meant before listening to this song, but now I know. So now let's move on to track number 6, Full House.
Driving back in her car, rolling me over and towing the line away. Imagination set free, and all the voices remember yourself. You're not alone in your head tonight.
Alrighty, that was track number 6, Full House, and this was another great continuation of the album. Once again, her voice sounds sublime, but it's not one of my favorites on the album, though I still enjoyed listening to it. She says, I am my enemy, mowing me over and towing the light away. Somehow it just seems to fit with that old me trying to get back again. And then she goes on to say, you've really got to remember yourself. You've got a full house in your head tonight. You've got to remember yourself. Stand back and see emotion getting you uptight. So I feel like she might be talking about the voices in one's head, the self-doubt, the various voices that are pulling you in different directions, second guessing yourself, questioning what you're doing. But then she says, remember yourself. So when you're questioning yourself and you have the dozens of voices in your head telling you what you should and shouldn't do, just stay true to yourself and remember yourself and stand back and see emotion getting you uptight. So realize that you're getting angry and uptight with yourself because of the self-doubt and the voices in your head. Just stand back and take a breath and remember who you are. I mean, that's my interpretation of the song, so take it or leave it. Some people are saying that the song is about mental illness. There is that saying that, people who hear voices in their heads are crazy, especially multiple voices. I mean, we all kind of hear voices in our heads once in a while, don't we? Am I the only one? Driving back in her car, watching the wipers squashing the leaves away, suddenly there in the road is your old self, trying to get out of the rain. I feel like one of the themes of the album, after listening to the first 6 tracks, is about just staying true to yourself, trying to find and go back to the person you once were and not letting people dictate how you should be or your values or your worth. Just understanding who you are, trying to find that person again through all the doubt and the heartache, just moving forward. I also feel like she's searching for something. She's going down this long and winding road called life, and she's battling through the naysayers and people in general and the voices and the doubt, and she's just trying to be the girl she was truly meant to be. I mean, I could be talking out of my ass, but that's how I'm deciphering the album. And what's really impressive is that Kate Bush was only 20 years old when this album was released. And I mean, that's a big achievement, writing an album like this with the lyrics she uses and the words she uses, and it's just a very thought-provoking album from such a young person. Every time I listen to a Kate Bush album, my brain definitely gets a workout. So now let's move on to track number 7, In the Warm Room.
Touch you with your
Alrighty, that was track number 7, In the Warm Room, and I just love the use of the piano on this album. I can't get enough of the piano. In the warm room, her perfume reaches you. Eventually, you'll fall for her. Down you'll go to where the mellow wallows in the warm room. She prepares to go to bed. She'll let you watch her undress, go places where your fingers long to linger. In the warm room, you'll fall into her like a pillow. Her thighs are soft as marshmallows. So obviously, the song is about intimacy and making love, I imagine. Someone also said that the song could be about a prostitute, making love to a prostitute. She'll let you watch her undress. She'll tell you she loves you. So, this could just be a one night stand with someone or a prostitute, and she'll tell you that she loves you, but she's just telling you what you want to hear to make the experience better. So you have to barricade the door so that she doesn't leave because she's telling you that she loves you. So why would you let this woman leave? This woman who's telling you that she loves you. Once again, this is my interpretation of the song, so take it or leave it. Anyway, let's move on to track number 8. Kashka from Baghdad.
Kashka from Baghdad lives in Symphony. Old friends never call her. Some wonder if life's inside it all. And I, this is not
Okay, and that was track number 8, Kashka from Baghdad, and I really enjoyed this song. It's definitely, I feel like it's one of the more, I mean, all these songs are pretty unique sounding, but this one in particular I find is quite unique. Kashka from Baghdad lives in sin, they say, with another man. But no one knows who. Old friends never call there. Some wonder if life's inside at all. What I also like about this album is that she is using other people's names in her stories. So she's singing about other people when she says Emily in track number 3, Wow. And she also says Emma, this Emma character in track number 4, Don't Push Your Foot on the Heartbreak. And now she's bringing up this Kashka character in track number 8. I watch their shadows tall and slim in the window opposite. I long to be with them. Because when all the alley cats come out, I can hear music from Kashka's house. I have no idea. People are saying that the song is about a gay male couple. Okay. Now it makes sense. I think what threw me for a loop was the name Kashka. For some reason, I thought it was a woman's name, but it's actually a man. So Kashka from Baghdad lives in sin with another man. Okay. So that's why she says they never go for walks because they can't. They can't be together in public together during the day. But we know the lady who rents the room. So there's a woman who rents a room in the house, and the reason being is so this man can pretend that he's actually in a relationship with a woman, and so everyone knows he's in a relationship with a woman, but he's actually in a relationship with another man. Someone says here that Kate sings as Kashka's neighbor, and she sees him happy with another man, and she envies them because she can't have the same happiness that they have. Initially, when I read Kashka from Baghdad lives in sin, they say, with another man, I thought this was about a woman who is cheating on her husband with another man. Thus, she was living in sin. but I guess I was wrong. So, to summarize my feelings about this song, I really enjoyed it, and I feel like this might be one of my favorites on the album. So, now let's move on to track number 9, Coffee Home Ground. Alrighty, that was track number 9, Coffee Home Ground. This was a very interesting song to listen to. I feel like this is the quirkiest sounding song on the album, and I really enjoyed it. Down in the cellar, you're getting into making poison. You slipped some on the side into my glass of wine, and I don't want any coffee home ground. Offer me a chocolate, no thank you, spoil my diet, know your game. And then she also goes on to say, I'm sorry, I'm really fascinated with the lyrics in this song. Where are the plumbers who went a missing here on Monday? There was a tall man with his companion, and I bet you gave them coffee home ground. So is she singing about a serial killer who is poisoning people and killing people? Plumbers are disappearing, and he's putting arsenic in the pot of tea, and he's making poison in the cellar. People are saying that the song is about paranoia, and people are making connections with literary works and authors and stories and characters from fictional tales. People are also saying that cyanide, another poison, is commonly said to smell like bitter almonds, which is what she says in the song. It's a component of the poisonous gas that was used in Nazi Germany and is still used today. And regardless of what the song is actually referring to and what it actually means, I still had a lot of fun reading it. So now we've come to the end of the album. Track number 10, Hammer Horror. Okay, that was track number 10, Hammer Horror, and this is a song where I honestly have no idea what she's really singing about. You stood in the bell tower, but now you're gone. When I think of that, I think of the Hunchback of Notre Dame. So who knows all the sights of Notre Dame? They've got the stars for the gallant hearts. And then she says, I'm your replacement for your part. But all I want to do is forget you, Fred. Hammer Horror. Won't leave it alone. Is this the right thing to do? Rehearsing in your things, I feel guilty, and retracing all the scenes of your big hit. Oh God, you needed the leading role. This song does remind me of track number 3, Wow, about being on stage and reciting lines. And then she says, who calls me from the other side of the street and who taps me on the shoulder? I turn around, but you're gone. So I am curious to know if she's singing about someone who has passed on, someone who she shared the stage with when she was an actor and she was reciting lines. Maybe she's referring to the gentleman in track number 3, Wow. I don't know. It says here that the song is actually an actor expressing his fears after he takes the lead role in a production of The Hunchback of Notre Dame from a friend who has died. He feels this way as the guy who died had really wanted the part, yet it was taken away from him. Therefore, he haunts the new actor. I don't know if that's the actual interpretation of the song. This is just a comment I read from someone on the internet, but it makes sense. And that was all 10 tracks of Lionheart by Kate Bush. And I just I just love listening to Kate Bush's albums so much. I don't even know which Kate Bush is my favorite out of the three albums I've listened to already. The Kick Inside, Lionheart, and Hounds of Love. Each and every one of them is so unique in their own right, and they're so different, and I just love them so much. I really did enjoy the stories she was sharing with us in The Kick Inside and Hounds of Love, but more so, I was really interested in the stories she was saying on this album, and I really liked it. She deals with themes of being a child and what comes with being a child, a lot of uncertainty and comparing yourself to other people and feeling confused and sad and in search of something, in search of your true self. It also deals with moving on with your life when you're dealing with heartache and heartbreak and just finding out who you really are in the inside. And she sings about England and her love for England and the stage and reciting lines in plays and perhaps same-sex relationships in track number 8, if that was the true intention of the song. And serial killers, perhaps in track number 9, Coffee Homeground, and being haunted by someone who has died in Hammer Horror. So, Search of Peter Pan, also one of my favorite songs, track number 2. I mean, just so much happening on this album, and I really enjoyed it. She sounded great, just like her other 2 albums. No complaints there. Her voice is always immaculate and great. And the production, once again, the production was great, just like any other Kate Bush albums. I find her albums to be very consistent. Um, her first album, The Kick Inside, now Lionheart and Hounds of Love, they're just very consistent albums. I don't know what to say about this album that I haven't said already in this video. I feel like I've already touched on everything I wanted to say throughout this video, so I'm just gonna say that I really enjoyed myself, and I had a lot of fun listening to this album and reading the lyrics. I mean, that will always be one of the highlights for me when it comes to a Kate Bush album, reading her lyrics. So what did you guys think of the album, and what are your favorite tracks? Where does this album rank on your Kate Bush discography list if you were to rank all her albums? And what are some interpretations of the songs that I might have missed? Maybe I misinterpreted some of the songs. What are some of the true meanings? And what do you think of the stories and the themes that she is sharing with us on this album? I feel like I could keep talking about this album, but I'm actually a little exhausted. I'm always exhausted after listening to a Kate Bush album. I literally need to lie down and take a break. So I'm gonna stop there. And in my next Kate Bush video, we'll be moving on to her 3rd studio album from 1980, 40 years ago, called Never Forever. So thanks for watching, guys. You can find me on Instagram, you can find me on Twitter, you can message me, you can tell me other artists I should check out. I'm open to any artists from any decade. You can find me on Apple Music, you can check out my playlist, and so on and so forth. That album artwork, I mean, I've always wanted to dress up as a lion.